Hello YouTube, HPZO here again today, and you'll see there's been some changes. You've probably noticed that I wasn't making any technical videos for quite some time, maybe a year, because I've actually been setting up a proper workstation and a proper desk to do that sort of thing, and I thought, if I'm going to take the time editing, might as well do it professionally. So you'll notice a nice new table, a nice new camera. It's a bit wonky still, I'm working on that, it's going to get better, just bear with me. Also, you'll notice that I've got a little visitor here, a Gamecube, as well as a DQ mod chip. You'll probably not see it on the actual screen that much due to all the glare, but honestly there's not much I can do at this point for that. So let's crack it open, let's get started. Hopefully this new setup will allow you to see me working a bit better. It'll give you a better view and a better glimpse of what I actually do and how I do it to the machines. So let's open it up. The only thing is with the Gamecube, it's got a lot of screws. Lots and lots and lots of screws. So I don't know how interesting this footage is going to be. Like I said, it's probably going to be a little bit wonky for the first couple of videos I'm doing until I puzzle out a bit of a better system to hold the camera up, but it can only get better, I guess. There we go. Four screws at the bottom. Oh, still have a game in there. FIFA, I'll keep it in there. You'll notice some screws on the sides there. And there. It's the one thing with Nintendo, all their consoles always have so many screws and they're so well put together. Watch the expression of surprise on my face if this machine has already actually been modded. Like I said before, sorry about the wonky camera. I'll work on that. Hopefully you won't have that for too long. A while since I've opened one of these, possibly like 2 years. Supplies, more screws, but luckily this shouldn't take too long. Let's shed some light on that as well for you. Autofocus is freaking out a little bit. Let's tell it to focus there. Okay. So I guess all of you are wondering, why do this to a GameCube? Well, I've had this chip for ages and I've got like 4 GameCubes. Oh, okay, I forgot there's 2 little screws on the side there. Anyway, I've had this chip for ages and I've got like 4 GameCubes hanging about doing what GameCubes do best, collecting dust. And yeah, why not? It's an obsolete system. We basically took it over. We has full backwards compatibility unless you have the newest model. So yes, it's interesting still to do one of these. And well, some could argue it's redundant technology, not needed anymore. Just get a Wii instead. I still like doing that sort of thing. Might be redundant, but at least I can get the most out of the system while it's still operational. Done. Here's a nice little shot of the motherboard for you. There we go, it's in focus looks like, and prepare to be blinded to death. I really need to play with video positioning and all those sorts of lovely things in the next coming weeks, but to give you an idea, there's the system. Here's a friendly little tip. You know the old GameCube case? If you stick that there, you stick it in the right way around, it acts as a nice little holder. There we go. Let me remove this shield that's been blinding you, driving you all insane. I think that's all the screws. No, one little one there. That's one thing with Nintendo, lots and lots and lots of screws. And there you have it. I'm going to move this up a little bit. Just not too close to the blinding lights of death. Let's see if that's zoomed in and focused correctly. Unfortunately, I think I can do a little bit closer for you, up to about there. Anything closer than that will give me an hassle trying to solder to it, even though this still isn't the most complicated, or the most comfortable soldering position. Get my solder. Interesting topic of today. What do you guys call solder? I know that a lot of people call it soldering, especially in the US. But here in South Africa it's soldering, unless you're from the US. What I'm doing now is I'm just pre-tinting all of the actual connections that I will be using. There's only a couple, well, there's only a few connections for the DOQ. And yeah, and once we've got those pre-tinted, add a little bit of fresh new solder to it. It'll make your life a lot easier to have it fitted. So I've got my color wire here, I've got blue. Let's see what else I've got here. Lovely orange wire. I'm going to go with orange today, just because I want to. Put it up with my DOQ chip there, it is. Open that up. One of my scalpels. You know, this little tool makes your life so much easier when you're installing chips, especially if you have a nice sharp blade. Now with that in hand, let's have a look at the actual diagram. I've got it on the computer already, and let's make an educated decision on where to place the physical chip. If I place it in this position, it'll be too high due to all of those, there's a whole bunch of capacitors there. So if I place it here, it's too close to my other points, it might make it a bit difficult. place it. There's still capacitors there. Well, second thought, I can run the power and the ground on top, and everything else should fit in nicely if I fit it there. Let's do it a little bit higher. It's nice and flat on the motherboard. And let's get started, shall we? Now, I'm not using K-Nor wire. This is actually a synthetic, it's a plastic one. And the nice thing about it is, you don't really need a wire strip. As soon as you heat it up a bit, it shrinks. If you can see that there. Let's see, it doesn't want to focus, but it shrinks a lot. So it makes your life a lot easier when you're installing wires. Okay. I also pre-tin the wire itself and pre-tin the connection. That makes it so much easier. Lots of people don't do it, and it really just makes their lives miserable. For instance, Ben Eck, I don't know if anyone here is a fan of his show, but he tends to place solder. He'll put it on the, let me show you. You'll put it on the soldering iron and then you'll place it on the board without actually heating the pad properly. Now, I found that actually causes a lot of dry joints. It really sucks doing that. Also, I'm working here at a distance, guys, so not only is it difficult for me to see, but I'm doing it on camera. And as everyone knows, as soon as you do something on camera, it instantly gets 1,000 times more difficult. That's my power and ground done. So what I'm going to do here, exactly what I did to the wire before, I'm just going to heat the pad up, place a bit of solder, heat the wire up, and because this is that synthetic material, the insulation just pulls away backwards. It's really nice stuff to use for some things. I don't use it for PS2s, for instance. On PS2s, it honestly makes your life so much more difficult. So the exact same thing, I'm just going to repeat it with the other wires. There you go. You can see how nice this is coming out. The wires are short, they're close together, and it's a nice system to use. Always try to get a very nice, actually that little plastic pin there, it doesn't do anything, so not an issue. I guess that's what happens if you can't have a proper look and there's a camera on your face. Anyway, always look for a good chip placement as close as possible, and make sure you've got enough room to work. If you're not comfortable working with very short wires, place it a bit further away, and just do what's comfortable in the beginning. Honestly, this chip will work perfectly fine if you're using like 5cm wires. For most of the things, you just use like thicker wires for power and ground. If you do want to use thick wires, it'll still function. It won't give you any hassle. Sure, if you're really going to use 10cm, 20cm or 30cm wire, you should actually reconsider what you're doing. The reason for that is the longer the wire, the longer the delay the signal has to actually get to the point. It doesn't sound like much, but we're talking about milliseconds here, and with very precise timing on some things, you want the millisecond range to be very low, so by the time the data goes from here to the drive, it has the correct time to respond with the correct information coming back to the chip. And all of that just takes time, and a lot of people forget about that. We're down to our last two wires, and those are a bit difficult because they're very small. That's why I'm using this method of using the scalpel to cut it, so that I can actually get in very close. You'll see that the 2 points there should cross B and A. bottom one is A and the top one is B. So let's start with B first. You know, being a bit dexterous and knowing that you can solder at strange angles helps a lot. Also, you'll notice I'm not pulling the wires. That's tremendously important. Don't rip and tug on the wires. You'll lift the pad, and lifting a pad is bad. It's a few hours to fix it. Well, unless you're good. And it's a bit less, but lifting a pad is generally a bad idea and a bad pitfall that a lot of newcomers get themselves into. Now I've got a choice here. I just want to double check the diagram. Top is B, bottom is A, that's correct. I've got a choice here. I can actually cross that back on top there, but because it's so close, I don't really want to cross any of the wires due to interference, so I'm just going to stick that one there. Move that across like that, and then make a cut there. Here I'm basically heating the wire first, and now heating the pad. There we go. It's done. You can add the little extra LED if you want. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to make it on the video. It's literally just connecting all. Yeah, wait, let's hook the pad up. Why not? Let's 3 more wires. Let's have correct type of wire that I can use for this without. Nope. I don't have any of that here for some reason. So just give me a second. Let me go fetch some wires instead. Okay, I've got some old ribbon cable here. Good old fashioned ribbon cable. Just that side. Scalpel again. Pull. There we go. And for this, unfortunately, you do need a wire stripper. You saw it earlier. I do possess one. Cut it straight. Separate it. You'll notice that unfortunately I've already used the side with the red on this ribbon cable. It's fairly easy. I'm just going to keep it flat, and then I know that those 3 points can go to the LED. Grab that. A ribbon cable also pulls away a bit when you pre-tin the wires, but not nearly as much as this yellow wire that I've got here, the synthetic non-Knar. Okay. Now the reason I'm holding mine like that is over the years I've gotten burnt quite a few times. You shouldn't really do that, but if I burn my hand and it doesn't fall on the board itself, I'm not too sad about it. It's quick, easy to fix. Pre-tin the 3 points on the chip. Grab the wire. Number 1. Sometimes this helps having a helping hand. Unfortunately, I don't have one. Number 2. If you're wondering what temperature I'm running my soldering on, I'm running at 360 degrees Celsius. If you're new to installing mod chips, try not to run it that high. I'll say like 280 is more than enough. The higher the heat, the more chance it is when you're actually soldering and holding your iron on top of the point that the point will come loose. So the less time you've got to do it in. So what I'm going to do here is just to know which point is 1. I'm going to pull this wire like this. There we go. Take that one, pull it aside. I know that point there isn't one, it's free. And these are the other two. I'm really getting used to this camera setup though, so sorry if I'm a bit off camera every now and then, and sorry if it doesn't automatically sync or automatically focus. You hear me now? Sync. Yeah, whatever. There we go. But there, a little bit on top there. And you shouldn't have that much solder on a needle tip. That's just looking for danger. But if you have a steady hand, you can clean it off afterwards. Not the end of the world. There we go. Here's my LED. Now what I'm going to do is cheat a little bit. So I'm going to take the LED, stick it down. I'm going to remove it there. That's not the final position. And get my solder, which I dropped. There it is. Three, two, one. Remember, I folded that one, which is 3, so we know that that's 1. That's 2. And there's 3. If you're a true perfectionist, you can go out and you can cut one a little bit shorter than the rest to line them all up. And to be honest, no one else is getting in here. There, that's done. That's hooked up correctly. I can then fold this and place it anywhere in the case. It is a bit long, but having a little bit longer wire means I can place it in a more creative way inside the case, somewhere you can see it a bit better. Now that this is done, it's time for the final step. And it's very important. Lots of people actually skip this, but you do need to clean the flux off of the board. Now I use a product called Contact, okay, and it's PCC, okay, printed circuit cleaner. It's by far one of the best products I've ever come across. It's so easy to use as well. I normally take a Q-tip, spray a bit in. This does two things. I've got a very wet side, this side, and a slightly less wet side, that side. Start off with this side, go over the board. Also, doing this, if I didn't solder any of those wires correctly, the wire will come loose, so it's a good way of doing it. And that just removes all the flux. You see that? That's like a brown color now. I don't know with the white detection if it'll improve it. Let's focus in on that. Let's try it this way. But basically that brown is all of the flux that's coming off the board. So I'm taking the slightly less wet side now. And within seconds everything is lifted off. Now if you're good at soldering, you can easily tell because you'll see that you didn't overheat the solder. That means that it's all still sparkly and clean. I've actually used a bit too much solder on these points as well, partly due to the fact I can't get in close to watch this, or else you'll have to watch my head instead. But there we go, that's a DQ fitted on a Gamecube. Give me a few seconds while I close the machine off and I can demonstrate it working for you. And I'm back here again now holding my camera. I just want to show you quickly before we continue. This is actually what I'm using to hold the camera. Magnifying glass connected to a car stand for a car with a charger, and sticking my cell phone in that. It works. Anyway, back to business. Here's the Gamecube. Got the game in there. Let's power it on. Still powers on. Okay, that's going to be a bit difficult, as I'm going to have to do this. Kind of push those two in. Press there. There's the LED mounted. It focuses a bit. This laser isn't the greatest, but there we go. Detected it. You'll see it's a blue light now, and on the screen we've got S.W.I.S.S. It's old revision, I know, but it's still freaking excellent, and it's working. It's a verbatim disc. There you go. Easy. Very easy. I hope everyone enjoyed, and that's me for today. Until next time, please comment, rate, subscribe, and if you like the videos, please just share them with your friends. Have more join my channel. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, I heard you guys. I really should have demoed a game and not just some software to show you that everything works. So what I did especially for you is use my original Metroid Prime, and I made a backup. It's playing perfectly fine. No skips, no lags, absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. Just to prove that I'm actually playing it. Oops. Doesn't like the fact that I opened the cover. But there we go. Metroid Prime Gamecube. Made specially for you guys. On a full disc. Please don't pirate. Thank you, and that's all from me, S.W.I.S.S. And enjoy what's left of your evening. It's now like 11:30 in South Africa, so I'm going to bed.